So tell me then, because the next question
Yeah.
I'm sure people listening to this are asking is then how do you build your business?
I build my business through social media. I use Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and
Okay.
YouTube these days. My podcast has always been produced on YouTube. I just started adding, like, putting my shorts and my short form content over on YouTube.
Hey everyone, it is Tony Will. Oh my gosh, I'm laughing already because my next guest and I are already talking, and I said we should have hit record, but now we are because it's going to be such a great conversation. But before I introduce you to her, let me tell you what you're listening to. Women In is a podcast that celebrates women from all walks of life and the people who uplift them. Each episode features incredible voices from my world, sharing stories that spark inspiration, challenge the status quo, and remind us that empowering women empowers everyone. This is a bold, curious, and uncensored space where disruption is welcome, forward thinking is encouraged, and change is the goal. I'm passionate about breaking down barriers, not just for us, but for the next generations. Whether our paths cross professionally or personally, these conversations matter. Let's dive in and celebrate the power of connection, growth, and the people who are shaping our world, and this woman is definitely one of them. Ryann, I forgot to ask you, Ryann, is it Gillen?
Gillen, yep.
Gillen.
You're right, yeah.
I love it. Clients gave her the title business therapist. She works with high-achieving women who have hit every goal and milestone they have told would make them happy and successful, only to find out it made them stressed out, burned out, and exhausted from managing a life they never actually chose. She takes a direct approach to building a life you're obsessed with instead of a career or business that looks good on paper. She is excellent at holding up the mirror, holding her clients accountable for their big vision, and she leads from experience, not theory. She has lived the cost of building the wrong life and built something completely different on the other side of it. She is the host of the Uncensored Self podcast, and she has been known to change the way a woman sees herself in a single conversation. And I got to tell you, I have an example of that myself. Hi, Ryann.
Hi, Tony.
It's so cool to have you on. Okay, first off, I said this to Ryann when we first met, but my brother's name is Ryan. So the combination of Tony and Ryan has always been like peanut butter and jelly. But to meet a female Ryan,
Yes.
I'm just loving because being a female Tony,
Right. Yes.
we have probably run into similar circumstances anyways. So tell everyone how you and I came into each other's lives.
We met through Roberta, who I believe
Yeah.
you also had on the show. And so, yeah, Roberta connected the two of us. And I think we just got on the phone and had a really cool conversation. And I interviewed you on my podcast. And we had a fun conversation that we shared on the Uncensored Self. And I just resonate so much with your career. While I didn't work as much of a male dominated industry as you do in hockey, but just that still a lot of similarities in media and things like that. So I've just resonated very much with your career story and the way that looks and feels. So I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, so we'll start at the bottom of your bio and work up. So when Ryan and I were talking off air after she interviewed me, I was talking, do you remember this? I was like telling you I had a lot of self-doubt about the book and that space, that headspace I was in.
Yeah.
I just was concerned. It was at least 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you said to me when I told you that?
I don't.
Okay. So that's okay. It's not a pop quiz. You said, Tony, try to reframe that as that you're on the edge of something.
Ooh, it sounds like something I would say.
Yeah. It was a great reframe because instead of making it like I don't deserve this, I took it as I'm on the edge of something really great and it's uncomfortable
Of course.
because I've never done this before.
Yes.
That is what you left me. One conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, truly.
I remember us talking about it, and I do remember you said something, and I knew it was a reframe that I was like, look at it this way, because it did. It felt like you were kind of in the weeds, but I didn't remember exactly what I shared with you.
Yeah. So I just want to give some, not that you need credibility, but now I just so respected that. I really love when women come into my life that say it straight, but are authentic to themselves.
Yes.
And that's who you are, Ryan. So take me back, take the listeners back.
Yeah.
Have you always been hardwired this way? And how would you describe it? And has it always been well received?
Uh, yes, like yes, no, yes, no. No, it has not always been well received, right? Have I always been hardwired this way? Also, yes, but it has evolved a lot over the years, right? I've always been direct. I've always been a straight shooter. It's kind of funny. We just launched a new segment on my podcast called Ask Ryann, and because I started my career, actually, I started my media career, if you will. I was the editor of the high school newspaper, and then I studied advertising and PR, and I got into radio, and I love like the talk show dialogue. So I started that over on my podcast, and when I was sharing it on social media about it, that was the thing I said was like, I've always had a lot of opinions. I've always had a lot of opinions. I've always had a lot of thoughts, and I've been sharing them publicly for years, right? Like I started a blog back in 2012, like all these ways. So I've always had a lot of thoughts, and I've always thought differently. I actually, though, the reason why I say have I always been hardwired this way, I didn't know if I wanted to answer that yes or no, because it's like I've always had this thread, but it has evolved a lot, right? Like it was very much, at one point in time, I feel like it probably was very authentic, Tony, and then it became a power play, right? The loudest person in the room. And then over the years, it has really very much evolved into, I just really feel strongly about the things I feel strongly about, but I also can make space for other people to feel strongly about the things they feel strongly about without making them wrong. And so that's what I mean. You asked me the question, has it always been well received? No, because I really like to be right. I really like to be right. Ask my partner, ask my children. I really like to be right. And so I've had to unwind that of, right and wrong and making me right. It was unhealthy at one point in time, right? It became something that was not well received, and it wasn't serving me either. And so now I like to believe that I am better at sharing my strong opinions and my direct thoughts while leaving people space for theirs.
So I love this topic because it's actually been bubbling up in other places just throughout my life about the always want to be right. So
Yeah.
if someone is listening to this and being like, oh, I'm that person, like I feel like that's me, or I live with someone or work with someone they would label that person the always want to be right person.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to those who see
Yeah.
how do you deal with an always want to be right person?
Oof. Are you asking me?
Well, obviously you got some feedback to grow and not, I
I know.
mean, yeah, I don't
So to
know.
me, it was really about like letting go of right and wrong, right? Like I try to do this across the board, and everybody is coming from their perspective and their experience. And so whatever the conversation is about, they are doing the best they can with what they have, right? Like I assume good intentions, right? A lot of times for me, at least, right and wrong conversations were not always like it was a principled, it was very justice driven. And now that's just not like, okay, that's your experience, Tony. It's not mine. Right. But I see that yours is valid. So when you're working with somebody whose thoughts are like, I'm always right, it's being open to like, I know that you think that you're right. Like, I know that in your experience, this feels very true. I'm not having the same experience. And so whether you're working with somebody or you are the one, for me, it's had to be that, right? Like I am the one where it was like, okay, right, this is my experience. This is my opinion. These are my thoughts, and yours don't have to be the same as mine. And that doesn't have to threaten me.
Yes, yes. And so it's interesting because we live in such a divisive world right now. I mean, it's always divisive, but the topics,
Right.
and so this is a great one. Like how we vote, like voting, when we went through the last election, and I'm not talking
Yeah.
about politics per se, but there's, someone voted for the one candidate, the other voted for the other. And then there are these people who are like, I will not date someone who voted for the opposite candidate. I will not be friends who voted for
Yeah.
the opposite candidate of me.
Yeah.
And I am similar to you, like, hey, we could vote for totally different people
Yeah.
and still be like in the same room or be
Yeah.
friends or be, in
Yeah.
my case, my husband and I vote opposite, be married.
Yeah.
So that's such a great uh, nugget right there. And I hope people listen to that open-mindedness. Do you think that's also comes with age?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it comes with age, and it comes with, and it's actually really funny we're having this conversation because my son and I did get so he's 9, and we had an argument over protein shakes. Like we were making protein shakes one morning, and I've had that before, Mom, and I'm like, no, you haven't, buddy. I bought new protein powder, and no, but yes. And so like, not only do I like to be right, I also have a 9-year-old little boy who I have trained that into, and like, it turned into this power struggle. And the conversation we sat down and had, and I said, buddy, even when you're right in conversations like this, whether I'm right or you're right, it doesn't really matter. it never serves the relationship well. Right?
Yeah.
Like me being right and you being wrong, or you being right and me being wrong. Even when you're right, it still doesn't feel good, right? Like how it leaves, like it still leaves a gap in your in your relationship. So I was like, it's either we can be right or we can repair a relationship. We can pick our battles, right? There's so many different ways to look at that. And especially when we're just being right for right's sake. Like it's very different. If somebody has a core value that's different than yours and you don't want to be friends with that person, like that's fine. That's your choice, right? But most of the stuff that we're arguing over, divided over, is trivial. And I think we're all so much closer than we think that we are, right? I think we're so much closer than we think that we are. And I think the media very intentionally skews it in a different way.
Totally. Well, and I stopped watching the news back in
I don't watch
2020.
news.
Yeah, you don't watch it either?
Nope. Haven't in
Yeah.
years.
And was it, so for me, it was like during the pandemic because I'm like, it was so like fear mongering.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, and it really, like what the media decides to put out there is just boils down to that station's or whoever the decision makers' beliefs are. So did you stop watching the news at the same time or was it long before that?
I don't think I was ever really a news girl. Again, I worked in media, so like to me, I always knew the behind the scenes. I wasn't impressed. I was like, I know, so I probably was always more of an online news kind of girl anyway, like not turn on your local news channel and get your news. Probably for long before that. But yeah, I don't like now there's no news. Like there's also no news in my social media feeds. Like I remove
Same.
all of it. I don't want any part of it. I don't play on X and I don't play on LinkedIn for the same reason. I want zero part of it. And I've curated my happy little bubble on the internet where if it shows up, I'm like, algorithm gods, how do we make this go away? I do not want this. I do not want this.
So you don't play on LinkedIn. Interesting, because I'm on LinkedIn a lot and I don't see anything news
Oh,
related on there.
yeah.
Maybe
I
I'm
don't,
not.
I mean, I dislike LinkedIn for a lot of reasons, but
Okay.
that was one of them, right? Where it was like, yeah, the conversation was just, it was always, because, it's hard to pull apart politics and business and economy and things like that. So, and maybe it was just obviously my ecosystem and the people I
Sure.
followed and, how this impacts business and what this means for you as a small business owner. Like it was that sort of stuff. It's always, but it just is not, energy is what I do, right? Focus and attention. And so I'm a believer in being aware. But I think that it really doesn't serve any of us well to wind up down a rabbit hole if that's not your job, your life, your livelihood. And I know some people have an opinion on that. It's a really privileged point of view, Ryan, to not know da 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 da. And I know that's what people think when I say that I
Uh,
don't watch the news. That doesn't really apply to me. Um, and I'm just like, but I don't think as humans, Tony, we were ever meant to have access to as much information as we do.
yeah, and it's funny. I get asked a question, and actually, I was a couple times that it's come up. Either I'm being interviewed on a podcast or I'm interviewing someone
Yep.
else, and not that this question was intentional. It just we led
Yeah.
there through just talking to one another. But I do get asked, well, then how do you know what's going on in the world? Now, my
Right.
defenses don't go up. I'm just like, I mean, eventually it'll make its way to me, is my answer. Like, someone will say something, or and I'm aware. Now, am I aware the moment it happens?
No.
No. But I never stepped back and thought of it as a position of privilege to not have to be tied to the news.
Yeah. I had like that. I had that conversation with people before that is a privilege. Like you must not have anyone who, in your life who's being impacted by what's happening, right? Like when we can talk about like wars and different things like that, like, oh, you just stick your head in the sand because lucky you, right? Like that's kind of the energy that I've seen around it.
Hmm.
And I just, like, again, it's like, I really do understand your perspective and I understand your anger and your frustration. I know that's not my work. Like I have compassion and I make donations and I support causes that are important to me, right? Like I'm not an irresponsible human who doesn't participate in society. I just don't participate in the idea that I have to know everything all of the time immediately when it comes out, because that's why everybody's nervous systems are shot. Because I don't think we were ever meant for the level of consumption that we take in.
Yeah, I really am appreciating that different point of view. Just hearing that and appreciating. I want to dive into this a little more
Yeah.
on LinkedIn because I love hearing differing opinions. I think
Yeah.
diversity of thought is
Yeah, of
so
course.
crucial to growth. So
Yes.
tell me about that, like, because most people are like LinkedIn, and and listen, I'm one of them. I'm on there. I'm not just for my hockey side of my life, but building my brand, and my business. So tell me your position on LinkedIn.
We're recording. I don't know
She
what
took
I'm
it.
saying. I know I did. I took a really big deep breath.
I love
I
it.
think, so all social media is performative in nature, right? Like we're all putting on something, but to me, there is nothing more disgusting than professional performance, right? Look at me, I'm amazing, I'm an expert, it's got pick me energy all over it. Like it is the most, and like I said, I'm a sales girl, Tony. I love sales. So it's not like, oh, everybody's selling. Because that's a lot of people think that, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
everybody's selling on LinkedIn. I'm like, bro, we're all selling something to somebody all the time, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's you to me and me to you or me to my dog or my child, like, stop it, right? So it's not that. Like, I don't have that energy. It's the performative of, yeah, it's just the pick me energy. The I'm smarter, I know more, I've made more money, I'm better at this. This person, it's a lot of this person's right and I'm wrong and da 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 da, and it just feels gross. It feels disingenuous. But I also, Tony, I don't network anymore either for the same reasons. Like I don't professionally network anymore.
Okay, so I can totally see all that, and I again love the differing
Yeah.
viewpoint. There's that infographic of an elephant about LinkedIn. Have you ever seen this?
Oh no.
So it's an elephant with its trunk connected to its appendage,
Mm-hmm.
because it's basically saying,
Yep.
you're just gassing yourself up, as the kids say.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Not that
Yep.
this is a PG podcast by any stretch of the imagination.
Got
It's
it.
not, but it's definitely rated R. I just didn't want to go X.
Right. I
So,
got
um, so,
but we're gonna do some rebranding and cool stuff where YouTube becomes a bigger part of it. Again, the more Ask Ryan radio style, host style, YouTube feels important to pull that in. And I do. And so I grow my business that way. And I grow my business through existing relationships. And again, I come from a place of, I've been working for 20 some odd years. I have clients all over the world, quite frankly, right? So through those like existing relationships, previous relationships, social media, people find me, introductions, get podcast guesting, doing guest trainings in other people's communities, like it's not that I'm not doing the activities, it's that I do it much more organically than I used to.
yeah. So you used to,
Yes. I
you
was
used to,
hardcore LinkedIn, hardcore network. I mean, I literally ran like an outbound agency at one point in time, Tony, where we were doing like outbound messaging on social platforms, like back
uh,
in like 2022 and things like that. Like I grew up selling radio, it was here's a
yeah,
phone call, go make some phone call. Like I've been a cold call, go get it, go hunt it, build your network kind of girl my whole life.
yeah,
And it is really just the past 3 or 4 years where I was just like, if there was nothing here for me, right? Like if there wasn't money in this room for me, would I be here? And it was like, nope, 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 nope. And
yeah.
so now that's the way I approach it. Like if I was just here to be here, to hang out with these people, to create this piece of content, to have this conversation, if I wasn't getting something from it, would I be doing it? If the answer is no, I just don't do it.
And now, is that built on? Because I wrote this down from your
Yeah.
bio, where you had talked about you built the wrong life. Is this
Oh yeah.
tied? Okay,
Yes.
so let's
Yeah.
whatever that story is. I want to hear that.
Yeah. So I grew up, I had a 15-year corporate career, right? So selling radio, had a kid, had Davis back in 2017. And that's where kind of, I thought it was an industry change, Tony, right? I was like, I've been doing this thing for 15 years. I've been in this industry. I've been there. I'm in a director level role. And I wind up, meeting or connecting with a girlfriend, a colleague, someone I used to work with. She had started a business, a consulting and coaching business online. This is back in 2017, 2018. And so I reach out to her and hear about what she's doing. And I was like, that's really interesting, and I just thought I needed a new job. It did not occur to me to start a business. And then Lauren was running this business. And so I was like, well, that's interesting. I could do that. And so I started kind of a coaching company. I kind of set out to be like a career and life coach at first. And then it evolved into sales training and sales coaching and sales development. I left 2017 is the conversation started. I filed an LLC in 2018, and I like to tell people I didn't make any money that year. 2019, we had our first six-figure year. I had Miss Georgia Grace, left my corporate job and became a full-time entrepreneur. And I took that business from $118,000 to $525,000 to $1.2 million in 3 years. And everything in my life fell apart. Everything in my life fell apart. And that's kind of what I talk about. Like, I did everything right, right? I hired the business coach and I followed the steps and I did the launches and I did all the outbound marketing and I went to all the networking events and I was growing my business and I was hustling and I was growing my business and I was hustling and I was getting material results. But it was like the more money I made, the heavier it felt, the more pressure. Like instead of it being like, oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta keep doing this. I don't know how to keep doing it. Like it was like, and I now can see on the other side of it, energetically, how you build it is how it has to be maintained. If you build it in chaos and grabby and get me energy, it's going to require that level of energy to maintain. So that was really what I learned, was like, I built it the hard way, like put it on my back and let me carry it. Like, I got you, like I'm often known for saying like, no one will ever outwork me, right? Like I am really, I can be a really hard worker and I don't want to anymore, Tony.
That's so powerful. That is such a powerful story. Okay, so everything fell apart. Define everything.
Oh gosh. So that business, so I started my business. I wound up in a business with a business partner. And that was the business, those two brands combined is what hit the 1.2 million together. And so that business partnership fell apart. Cause I realized again, it was just, she was out of alignment. Tony, that's actually when the lights came on. Is I was down in Florida with my business partner. We had like a kind of a VIP day style, right? But just as two business owners, right? Mm-hmm. And I realized that like, oh gosh, like not everything, but a lot of what she's saying, she's not doing, right? Like she's on the internet telling everybody about her lifestyle business. And meanwhile, she's existing on Doritos and Diet Coke and micromanaging the shit out of her team, and her employees are miserable. And she's literally having exiting clients from her program who aren't getting results and having them sign NDAs so they can't tell people that they didn't get, like the things I learned in that trip. And I was like, okay, this is not for me, right? And so I didn't intend it to be a domino, but it was a domino, right? Like when I exited that business partnership, I had met my now mentor and friend, Stacy, who really kind of introduced me to the energy work and what I call the energy game, universal law, right? Like, why do I keep creating success, right? It was like I kept creating the things I wanted. I had the corporate job and I didn't like that anymore, right? I made $1 million and I don't like that anymore, right? Like, what is wrong with me? I had a husband and kids and I was like, I don't like this guy anymore. Like, why do I keep getting exactly what I want? And then it just feels like garbage. And so that's when I met Stacy. And that's when I started looking at my life and being like, do I even like this shit? And the answer a lot of the time, no, I did not like it. And I was not happy. And so I just started pulling it apart. And I did. I mean, I realized I had gained 60 pounds. I wound up getting a divorce. We actually wound up filing bankruptcy. Well, I filed bankruptcy so I could keep my house. It all fell apart. The partnership went awry. We had a 5-month legal battle, back and forth over the intellectual property of the business and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I mean, like everything fell apart.
You're not kidding. Everything literally fell apart. Okay, so when I asked everything, there were like, and this is one of the things I could tell immediately when I met you, Ryan, is there's not performative, and those are the people
there used to be.
Yeah, like I respect the hell out of people who are just authentic, and because that's what down to earth, relatable, and is willing to show the flaws, the warts, the holy shit I fucked up moments, like. All of it. And those are my people, because that's how I want to show up real. Yeah. So I just, and that's not easy to talk about. It's not easy to say, yeah, I was, overweight, and yeah, my marriage fell apart, and we filed for bankruptcy. I mean, there's so many things in that some people are like, I'm not telling anyone. But when we tell our stories, we are helping other people. And so I applaud
someone who's unshameable, right? Like it's so silly. You know the movie 8 Mile?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how does he win the battle? Here's everything you have to say about me. Here's all the things he's going to say about me, right? This did happen. I did screw this up, right? Like that's the whole rap at the end of the movie is here's all the things he's going to tell you about me, right? We can't rap battle anymore if you don't have anything to expose about me. Right? Like, so for me, it was very much if I'm going to continue to grow a business, and especially now the work that I do in energetics and I, the way that I work with women, it was just like, here is everything you need to know. Everything you need to know. So when you decide that you want to work with me, like it's not, oh God, I didn't know that about you. You're like, oh shit, that happened to you? I'm like, I've been airing my dirty laundry on the internet for a long time. Nobody can tell you. You didn't know. I didn't know that girl was a hot mess a few years back. Yes, you did. There's a whole podcast episode on it. Go listen to it, right? Like, I got nothing to hide. You cannot ask me a question that will shame me or embarrass me or catch me off guard, because I think in the beginning, Tony, again, you asked me, being direct and a sharpshooter, I think I did it out of fear and insecurity at one point in time. And now it is more out of service. And I think we share this very much. You and I align in this way. And that's why you love to tell stories and I love to tell stories. Is I think one of the biggest problems we have as women is we believe that it's just me, right? It's just me. I'm the only one who feels this way. I'm the only one who struggles with this. I'm the only one who can't figure this out, right? Because we're all scrolling LinkedIn and Instagram and like, well, that girl's got it figured out. Those people look happy, and those people, And so I think to me, it's like, if I just tell the story for one other person to be like, well, thank God, right? That somebody is not, it helps us feel not so alone in our own shit, and our own insecurities and the own things. Because life's.
Yeah. One of the things I say, I'm like, listen, and I'll tell my clients this. Yeah. I'm like, I say this with love, but you're not that special.
Right. Yes.
We're just not. And there's always people out there who have gone through it. Now, that's where it's like when I hear other women or people that, it's confirmation bias when I find out I'm not alone. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not alone. This is in this thing. So we're not that special. We're not alone. Yes. But we have to be willing to talk about it to find out that we're not special and we're not alone. So,
and it also doesn't take away from the value that you bring, right? Like, I think that's our biggest fear. So people knew the effed up things that I did or the shitty things that happened to me, because that was my thing. Bankruptcy there was a lot of shame around that. Like, it was very much like I became a cliche. But do you want to know what helped me not get caught in that, Tony? When you call everybody you have to call to tell them that you filed for bankruptcy and that you're going through that, everybody, oh yeah, happens all the time. Like, we've been led to believe that it's this horrible, shameful thing. And it's like, well, it exists for a reason. And the credit card companies, quite frankly, are just making money off of your money so they can bite your $22,000 Visa bill. It totally changed my perspective of money and what we have been taught, about credit and all that other. I'm like, this is made up. This is bananas. Like, nobody cared. The only people that came for their money was the Marriott. They were the only ones who showed up. Like, you have to get on the phone and there is an opportunity for anybody who has a debt against you to say no, we want our full money about, we won't settle. Cause that's basically what they do for you when you file for bank, right? I did a chapter 13 so I could keep my house. So they go and they negotiate everything down. So I still make a payment every month, right? But it's obviously a much smaller number than what I would owe if I paid it in full. And it was the Marriott was actually kind of the straw that broke the camel's back that made my financial situation so precarious. I had signed a contract for a big event venue, right? Like room minimum and all these other things. And this is all when my life is falling apart and I didn't sell, a fraction of what I thought I would. So I was on the hook to the Marriott for, I think $50,000 or $60,000 that I wound up not producing in ticket sales is kind of how it happened. Mm-hmm. And it was actually my ex-husband who really put it into perspective for me when I was boo-hooing about it, because we were negotiating everything in our divorce. And I was like, I think I'm just going to file for it. At this point, I don't know what else to do. I don't want to live all this other stuff. And I, was boo-hooing about it. It was after we separated. And he said, Ryan, he was like, I know you feel like shit right now. And he was like, but, this only happened because you bet on yourself. Right. And he was like, and you've been betting on yourself for a long time and you have won a lot. You made one bad bet on essentially a horse that always fucking wins.
I love that.
Some people will never bet on themselves. They will never go all in. And it I brings tears to my eyes now. It was so emotional in that moment that I was like, you're right. That's all that happened. I bet on this horse 1,000,000 times and won.
Yeah. Oh, that is emotional. And those words talk about energy, because someone and it wasn't you, but I was talking to someone about the doubt of my book and everything that brings up. And they said to me, you've bet on yourself, Tony. So now that's the second time I've heard this. And so yes. And we can't go wrong when we're betting on ourselves, even if even if we lose.
Right. Because you never really lose, right? What did I lose? a whole lot of shame, right? Like it caused me to face some shit that I really needed to. It allowed me to repair my relationship with money. I mean, like the work that I had to do because of that, like, you know, on
Yeah.
paper, based on society's expectations of winning and success, maybe I lost, but like in the grand scheme of things, I don't think I did, Tony.
No. And okay, so I want to come I'm going to ask this one first and I want to come back around because you said something really powerful. Again, I mean one conversation and you're blowing my mind 40 times, which is fun. Because I love it. I love deep thinking and deep conversations. So how did you repair your relationship with money?
Well, I think, I mean, it came down to, you know, I've been in sales my whole career, right? So I have been chasing money since I was 21 years old, right? That was the carrot I've been chasing my whole career. And basically what I believe to be true is what we chase runs, right? So when you chase something and you're looking for money to fulfill you, right? Like it was like, okay, well, once I get to six figures, then I'll be happy, right? And then it was like, okay, well, once we get here, then we'll be happy. And once we get here, like that was me, right? Like I was always just one good year away from nirvana, like literally my entire sales
Yeah.
career, right? And I finally realized that, like, yeah, it was, I had this money, had all the power, and I was letting money tell me whether or not I was good enough, right? Like, is my output good? And only using one metric to judge that, right? It was like, I looked at the money as the metric instead of like, what are all the things that you did this year that you're really proud of? And it's like, well, you know, we made less money than last year. You know, but like, what are all the things you did, you know, but well, you know, we shit the bed on that event. And it was really bad. And da 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 da. You know, it's like, no, but what? And you realize that we always just find the money thing. So it came down to like, I had to take all my, like, money is energy. Everything is energy. Like if we really, not to get too esoteric and weird on you, but it's made up. It's numbers on a screen. Like it literally doesn't exist. And the only reason it has any power is because we've gave it power. Because somebody said this green thing is worth $1 and this green thing is worth $5, and we've decided that this pen is worth $3.50, and we have all agreed to it. Once we all did, like, because if we didn't all agree on it, the system wouldn't work.
Yeah. It's
The
so
system
true.
works if we agree.
Yeah, it's what are we making this mean? And it
Right,
literally is the same paper, just with different
right,
numbers on it
right, right.
and
And then we're told the
presidents.
money doesn't grow on trees, and it quite literally does. Like, what? You know, like it's all made up.
It's so true because paper is a tree. Oh my God, this is hilarious.
So like that was the sort of stuff when you're like, it's just energy like everything else, right? Like we're all made of the same stardust. I say that all the time. Like you, me, this pen, this computer, the Wi-Fi that's allowing us to have this conversation. It's all made of the same shit. And so when we stop making, oh well, this person knows this, so they're more valuable than me, or they drive this kind of car and that car is more valuable. Again, all just things we agreed to. We all agreed that a Mercedes was more valuable than a Ford.
Yeah.
Is that actually true? Do you know, other than what you've been told, people who drive Mercedes look and feel like, and people who drive Fords? Do you know the number one car that millionaires drive? It's not a Mercedes.
What is it?
It's a Ford F-150.
Oh, fascinating. Huh. What do you drive?
I drive a Hyundai Palisade, okay? It was my COVID car. Those cars were so hot, like when the Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade came
Yeah.
out, and they were like the fully loaded SUVs. And like that's when my kids were little, and it had the third row and the captain's chairs, and it was amazing. Like we literally like made a down payment, like waited for that car. It was when they came out during COVID, and they were so hot. And I mean, it's a great car. I was literally just thinking about it this morning. I love my car. But yeah, I just like, it's all just the agreements of
Yeah.
what we think is valuable and what we say is valuable and what we think other people are going to think about the value, but it's all fucking made up. And so that's what I mean, like going back to your original question, once I realized that like all the meaning and the power that I had given money was not actually true. And every dime I've ever made, whether it came through an employer or a business or, you know, a random refund check from the IRS or a wire transfer from my mama, like I created every single fucking dime of it. It is all the same. I created all of it.
Yeah.
And so like that's what I mean by like I gave all the money power, but I created the money.
Yeah.
The value I create in the world is what creates the money. So what's actually like, it was leveling that out and that relationship.
That is such a great answer because it's what, like you said in your bio, it's what you lived. It's not theory. It's not. It's yes. So let me go here then. So do
Yeah.
you I'm an avid reader, and I like to
Yeah.
learn from other people, whether it's through uh,
Good.
listening to a book, reading a book, listening to a podcast, interviewing guests, being
Yeah.
interviewed. So when you teach through and coach through your own theory, does
Right.
that mean that you're not getting that from books or from all these platforms? Or are you just, you'll learn something, but it's like, oh, I'm going to apply it in my life and see, and then I might coach, teach, whatever.
So the way is like I'm a reader, like it's I took the things of all the places, right? So what I mean by that is like I teach a lot of universal law, right? So a lot of people get into like law of attraction and all that different stuff. And there's a lot of teachers of that, right? Like Bob Proctor was big into,
Yeah.
that and different, there's different people who have that belief system. And then there's, I've gotten into some more like biblical style people and their thoughts on create. Like I've just been studying human behavior and creation and why we do the things we do and how the things. So for me it was like I went out and I read all the things and yeah, I applied them to my life and like which ones made sense. And because what I learned, and the reason what led me to the work that I do now, is that most self-improvement, self-help, personal development work is created by and created for people who struggle with motivation, right? The person who struggles to get going, the person who struggles, right? Like, and versus women like you and I, where it's like, no, we're in the ring, right? Isn't that Brene Brown? Like, we're in the arena, like we are fighting the fight. And like the personal development for the person who's outside the arena talking shit is very different than the personal development for the person who's actually in the arena taking the hits, right? Like it feels different. The way you approach it is different. And so for me, it was that, like, it's the lived experience of, yeah, like I Tony Robbins, any personal development I could get my hands on, like back it was Mel Robbins back in the day, but like anything I could read, like to figure out what the fuck was wrong with me, I wanted to read it. And it was just like, yeah, but I don't struggle to get out of bed in the morning. I don't struggle to execute on my ideas. My problem is that I'm working 60 fucking hours a week and I can't figure out what's a priority and what's not because my nervous system is shot. Does anybody have a solution for that? And the answer was no. No. Everybody can help you get started. But like, what do we do when we hit our first roadblock?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what do you do?
What do you do when you hit your first roadblock? It's figuring out what's driving, right? Like if you are a person who is driven and you are creating results, but you're not having fun, it's asking what's the energy you're creating in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I'm going to be talking tonight at an event, and one of the things I'm going to talk about is fun is power.
Yes. But that's like, what's the first obstacle? Because most people, what I see in my clients, Tony, is like, when they started their business, right, the first 6 figures and maybe the first 7, it was fun and it was creative and I wonder if, and it would be so cool. And oh my God, how would it be? Oh my God, I did it. And I hosted my first event and I wrote and I did it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, now there's people watching. Now it feels like more pressure. Now I have to do this and now I have to duplicate it. And now I have this staff that I have to pay. And now I have to keep doing this thing I don't want to do because now and like, that's what winds up happening. So like, that's usually where I insert in myself into the conversation of like, okay, right? We started building from creativity and possibility. And then we got into pressure and management and all those different things. And like I said, if you built it through hustle and hard work and suffer and sacrifice, like I did, maintaining that is fucking exhausting. And so for me, it's okay. We gotta figure out how to, shrink down what's actually important, expand our emotional capacity, get clear on what we want, and start creating from fun again, instead of pressure.
So that's beautiful bridge into my next question. And you've mentioned energetics a couple of times.
Yeah.
So what is the work you do now, and who's your ideal client? Which part of that was peppered into that last answer, but just more direct in my questioning of that.
Yeah. So the work that I do now is I do. Again, my clients call me their business therapist. I just spent a lot of time redeveloping kind of my business therapy creation process. So the work I do now is help women actually understand what's creating their results, right? Most people grossly misunderstand why they feel so much pressure, why, it feels like never enough, the why I'm winning and it still feels like shit, right? They don't understand what's creating that feeling, right? They think it's the work that they're doing. They think it's the clients. They think it's the people. So I really help us like bring all the energy back in and intentionally create. So when I say energetics, like I believe very strongly in the law of vibration, the law of divine oneness, right? You can even get into quantum physics, right? The idea that everything is energy, and what we put out is we get back, right? Law of vibration, everything's energy. Law of attraction, what we put out, we get back. So most people don't realize what that actually means, and why, even though I'm working really hard, it still doesn't feel like enough, or whatever the case may be. So that's the work, is figuring out that focus and that creation, and what's driving, and those subconscious patterns and stories and all the old bullshit, and those layers and layers of performance ultimately. I mean, and that's why I'm so anti LinkedIn, because, and now like my intuition is so in tune, Tony, that I can smell it a mile away. Like I know when somebody is winning or when somebody's pretending to win. I can tell all day, every day. I can smell it. It's annoying. Like it's annoying.
This is a self-serving question. You don't smell it on me, do you?
I don't smell it at all. No, I don't smell it at all. And then who is my ideal client is, like I said, I find that it is women who are winning on paper and unfulfilled, right?
Yeah.
Or just experiencing, like the last 3 clients who I've wound up working with this week are all women who are like, I am this close to burning it all down. I'm burnout. I'm overworked. I'm overstretched. There's too much demand. Tends to be some of the symptoms, but most of them, it is really about like, I know that I am only scratching the surface of my potential, but because I feel so maxed out, I can't even see how to realize that potential. So that's usually where my mentor said it once recently in a podcast, where she talked about like, when somebody with big goals and big dreams and big vision is disconnected from their vision, it is physically painful. Like it feels, it is so, that feeling of dissatisfaction is so big and so loud that it steals your joy. And that's, I think, what's happened to a lot of women inadvertently, is they've just disconnected from the vision, from the magic, from why they started, for why they care, what it's really about, because they've been too busy trying to manage all the shit.
Yeah, do I get that? Okay, speaking of women, and you mentioned Stacy as one of them, but who are the women in your life, Ryann, that have helped you become the woman that sits before me today?
So Stacy Baronfest, Stacy B, is my friend, my mentor. She's amazing. You'll enjoy her a lot. My current mentor that I work with is a woman named Bella St. John, who actually is over in Europe. She's just moved to Prague, and she's the coolest lady. We have just this incredible relationship. But what's been really fun, this is kind of a fun answer. This is not professional. Like in the past few years, I've reconnected with some of my girlfriends that I grew up with. Like had a girlfriend that had like moved away, got married, had kids, got a divorce, and then like only stayed because she had to. And then once her kid graduated high school, she came home, and it just kind of like reconnected me with some of my girlfriends from high school. And I tell you what, Tony, like being in a room with women who've known you your whole life and know all the different iterations of you, and the good and the bad and the ugly, has been some of the most soul-filling things in the world. We're like, we went on a little girls' weekend last year. We went to Colorado for the weekend and just played. We water rafted and zip lined and did all the things. And like, we didn't talk about work once, like not once. And I can't remember the last time that happened, right? Where it was like, I didn't work at all. I didn't open my laptop. Like I didn't create anything new. I mean, I did the shit I needed to do, like shared content and those, but like, that was it. It was so lovely. And honestly, that has been some of like the most soul-filling, inspirational, like, yeah, I can say or do anything in this space and it doesn't matter. I kind of love that.
I love that. Yeah. It's women, and the energy of this is women who truly lift each other up.
Yes.
And that was why I started this. I want to lift women lifting each other up, or men lifting women up too, because I meant I wanted to book wise, do you have a book recommendation around the law of attraction that you would recommend, or the law of attraction, or you mentioned something else?
Let's see, what would be, like, it depends on how woo you want to get, like I love to play in the woo. What would be my first? The first book I always recommend is Conversations with God, and that can really fire some people up. So don't start there. Like the first one that came to mind, Conversations with God. But anything by Bob Proctor, I think is great. Yeah. I like Bob's stuff. I recommend a couple of his books. I play around in like the real esoteric with Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks. Abraham is the non-physical entity that they channel. So it's like real woo, but they have a book called Ask It Is Given that is excellent. Money and the Law of Attraction, they have a whole Law of Attraction series. Like I said, it's a little more esoteric for some people. If you want something a little more practical, Bob Proctor's going to talk more business and things like that. But if you just want to get down to get like real into the woo and the energetics, anything by Esther and Jerry Hicks, I think is really great.
I'll have to look into it. I just read a shorter, I'll call it a booklet. Probably. It wasn't that long, from Michael Lozier on the Law of Attraction. It was pretty good. And I've read Bob Proctor. I should go back and revisit the book. It was really good. It was a couple years ago. Another one of my podcast guests recommended it. I read it. I'm like, oh, I've got an Audible. I think I'm going to re-listen to it.
Bob does. I like Bob, like I said, because Bob takes it like it is the spiritual, right? Like, and think of the time he is, like, there's a lot of God reference and things like that, but it's the same premise. It's just practical, right? Versus Esther and Jerry Hicks tend to be more like, they're like, let your freak flag fly. Like, yeah, we're weird, we know. Whereas Bob, I think, makes it, he talks to business people. His content is built for business people. If you're looking for just like women whose podcasts are really excellent in that space, Kathleen Cameron talks a lot about money. She came up through Bob Proctor's world. We were in a mastermind together once. I don't know her personally, but I like her work. Like, I know her, social media wise, but like, her podcast is really great. And then, what other podcasts do I really enjoy? And Stacey Baronfest has one called Soul Charge. Stacey's Soul Charge podcast is really, really great too.
Soul Charge?
Soul Charge. Okay. Stacey B. It is Stacey B, because Baronfest is Mouthfest. So if you look for Soul Charge with Stacey B, you'll find it.
Got it.
So yeah, her work, I listen to her show a lot because I know you like to listen. Like, those are just good. If you're looking for you personally, those are great people. Kathleen's a lot about money, which I stay away from these days. I find when I get too much into money shit, it triggers my money shit. But she is an excellent teacher and a great communicator, and she does a really good job.
Yeah. Well, I say that about like, this is different, but women can relate to what I'm about ready to say. I don't fuck around with scales anymore or tracking my food because it gets me in a space where I know I'm on the edge of something, and not in a good way. Like, there's a good edge and a bad edge.
Yeah, agreed.
And it'll trigger some shit in me, and I'm like, nope, I don't need, if I feel healthy and strong, whatever. I don't need to know the fucking number.
I totally, no, like I said, so sometimes the money stuff does inspire me and it's fun to listen to, and like sometimes it will get me on the bad day if I feel triggered in some way, whatever. So yeah, I don't play too much in the money space anymore, but I just think intuitively you would enjoy Kathleen's style. She's lovely, she's kind, she's soft, but she's direct, she's no nonsense, she's consistent. I think you'll like her.
Okay. I'm going to make a little funny joke here about when I talk about these things. It's like, no one's going to be, when you and I are in our caskets or incinerated or however we choose to go up and over the Rainbow Bridge, no one's going to be like, here lays Tony Will, who had this amount of money in her bank account and she weighs this amount. And they're not going to say that about you or I, how much we are worth and how much we weigh. No. So let's chill the fuck out, everyone.
Amen. Amen. And we're all gonna die, so we might as well have fun.
Yes, like go live. Like oh my gosh, Ryan, this is so much fun. This fills my cup. I truly have enjoyed our conversation. If people want to connect with you and they enjoyed hearing about you and want to work with you or learn more about you, where can they find you?
Social media is always an excellent place, right? Social media is a great place. I hang out on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Ryann Gillen is where you will find me. The Uncensored Self podcast with Ryann Gillen is an excellent place to learn me, learn my style, the topics, the ideas. And there's always a link in my show notes for what we have going on. So what programs we're working on or cool things like that. So we're actually doing a little bit of a rebrand. So I pulled all the old website stuff down. And so there's not current state, just a standing website, but it's being worked on currently. So I'm really excited about it. So I'll send y'all to the podcast and you can find everything you need through there because that's always getting updated.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again. And I'm so excited to have you in my life and continue our relationship with someone that is gets me. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if you all are looking to connect with me, I'm not hard to find. The hockey side of my life is at kwings.com. And then everything else I'm working on, the big thing is Rebellious Success, which is hitting mailboxes August 11th. Woo! Pre-order is available now at tonywill.com. And I'm on all the socials too, including LinkedIn. So I'll see you next time.